Hi YouTube, please give me a moment while I go live on Facebook. It'll take just 1 second. Should be live on Facebook. What's up everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Strategic Swing Trader. I am Sami Abusad, Director of Education at T3 Live. We're going to do what we always do, which is go over some swing ideas for next week, for this week. And we'll also go over the market. I also want to go over some cryptocurrency ideas that some of which I'm already in, some of which I am yet to get in. So we'll go over that in the next few minutes. But before we start, as always, a standard required disclaimer to let you know that trading is risky and that whatever we discuss today is for educational purposes only. Also, if you'd like to download a copy of my free ebook, link for that is in the description. Link for it is in the description. But without further ado, let's turn on the charts and get going. If you find benefit in today's video and you'd like to help support the T3 Live channel, please be sure to hit the like button. We would really appreciate that. Okay, here's the chart of the markets. First, actually, before we talk about the equities markets, let's take a look at the cryptocurrency. Currently, I got 30 coins of Litecoin, and I'm bidding for 15 more if it pulls back a little bit. But it's just breaking out on the daily chart. When I started just getting started to get on the mic, and Litecoin hadn't even broken out yet, so it just broke out. It's not late at all. I like it higher. Of course, Ether was the thing to do, and it's skyrocketed, but I would say too late on Ether. Litecoin is just going right now, just getting started. Bitcoin on the weekly chart has a 1, 2, 3. I talked about the 1, 2, 3 pattern a lot in previous videos. Basically, you get the igniting bar, you get the narrow range resting bar, and then if the stock, or in this case cryptocurrency, takes out the highs of both bars 1 and 2, that's bar 1 and 2, then you get a trigger over the highs of both bars 1 and 2, whichever is higher, and then the stop under bars 2 or 3. So this is bar 1, this one right here, bar 2, the narrow range bar, resting day, and then bar 3 is the trigger bar. So in the case of Bitcoin, let me actually just adjust the chart real quick. Let's see real quick here. Let's add a little bit. Okay, there we go. In the case of Bitcoin, I like it higher if it can take out basically $59,560. The stop for it would be under 53,000. Okay, over 59,560. Stop under 53,000. This wouldn't be a swing trade. It would be more of a long-term trade because it's off the weekly time frame. We're not talking about, we wouldn't be talking about holding it for just a couple of days. We'd be talking about holding it for several weeks, maybe months. So I like it, again, over 59,560. All right, with that out of the way, let's now go back to the stock market and talk about the market a little bit. We'll talk about the swing ideas also that I like for this week. If you'd like the list to just copy and paste it rather than have to type it up, it's all in the description of the video below. Okay, the SPY is at all-time highs. I mean, so bullish. Spoiler alert if you haven't watched Game of Thrones, so you might want to mute me for a second. You guys remember the last scene, or I think it's the last episode, where the Mountain and the Hound have that fight, and then the Hound is stabbing the Mountain, and the Mountain wouldn't die. And he said, "Effing die, effing die." He couldn't get him to die, even though he's stabbing him in the neck, in the shoulder. So he just went down with him into the fire and jumped off that tower, because it just couldn't kill him. Basically, I feel the same way about the SPY, the market in general. No matter what happens, no matter how bearish the news is, no matter how bearish the breakdown might be. In the case of the breakdown last week, it wasn't really that bearish, but still, it just would never die. Okay, you can turn me back on if you muted me. At any rate, so the SPY closed at all-time highs. Bullish, just all out bullish. The IWM, of course, is lagging behind, but look at the weekly chart of the IWM, the Russell 2000, all these bottoming tails. So, which tells us every time it dips, there's demand for it. So it looks higher still. It just hasn't gotten going. And the Qs, which is why I waited until now to talk about it, is the hardest to analyze. It is completely neutral right now. It was bullish a couple weeks ago at the highs, broke down and back up into the base. So it's neutral to me. So with that said, the Qs is difficult. I'm neutral on the Qs. The SPY is all out bullish. The IWM is starting to look bullish. It's still also neutral, but not as difficult as the Qs, right? Because the Qs is under the 20, right? So I'm bullish, but cautiously bullish. Okay, for again, my bias for next week is going to be bullish, but you know, cautiously bullish. So that's my bias for next week. I like to see alignment between especially the Qs and the SPY, because I know the IWM represents 2,000 companies, but I read one time that Apple makes up like 90% of all these 2,000 companies in the IWM. So really what matters to me is the NASDAQ and the S&P 500. And the S&P 500 is all out bullish. The Qs, which represents the NASDAQ, is not as bullish. Okay, so for next week, I'd like to see some alignment between the two, and then hopefully continue that bullishness. All right, on to the ideas. Again, we talk a lot in these weekly videos about the 1, 2, 3 pattern, that igniting wide range bar, the narrow range resting bar, and then the continuation bar. If we get it, if we don't get it, then no play. So in the case of the BCRX, you're going to see this 1, 2, 3 pattern very prominently on this week's list. We have it right here, long, stop. The only issue with it is the resistance is not too far above at 14 bucks. That would be the first resistance area. But notice the first igniting bar came from a gap up, and look at the nice volume there. So this stock should be able to go through that resistance area without any issues. So I do like it, even though there is overhead resistance not too far above. Because of the igniting gap, I think it will propel it higher and make it, allow it to slice through that resistance area. BLDR gapped up and has similar pattern to the BCRX in that it's a 1, 2, 3 pattern. So long over 52.91, I would just do it over 53. Stop under the SPARS low, which is almost 51. Okay, the BLDR, the BTG. Now we have some nice gold, especially the gold miners, gold and silver stocks on the list. We got BTG, we got HL, we got PAAS, right? So those are the at least 3 on the list that are gold or silver related. If you're a subscriber to the Strategic Swing Trader newsletter, you can log on to your T3 Live account right now, and you'll see which ones I picked for the newsletter and for my own account as well. I'm not going to play every gold stock out there, but I am playing 2 gold stocks, okay? Gold and silver. Now the BTG looks really good on the larger time frame. It's a monthly buy setup, okay? So for the BTG, this would not be a swing trade. A swing trade means, you know, you're looking to hold it to play it for the next few days and then get out of it. This would be a long-term trade, not a short-term trade. Long, stop. And then target would be target 1, about $6, and target 2, about $7. So it has 2 targets on the BTG as a long-term play. Now the HL and the PAAS, gold and silver, gold mining, silver mining, they both have a 1, 2, 3 pattern. This is a big bar. We like it to be a narrower bar, a narrow range bar, to be smaller, because then you have a tighter stop. The smaller the stop, the larger the position that you can have, because the smaller the stop, the smaller the risk, and so therefore the larger the size. But also the bigger the bottoming tail, also the more bullish it is. So long, stop, and target. Okay, it's not a huge target either, about 850. And then the PAAS, not as powerful, but has that tight bar that we like, that narrow range doji bar. So the entry for this would be over 35.50, let's just say. Stop under 34.50. So about exactly $1. Target 1 would be the first area of resistance, which is 37.30, and target 2 would be this bar's high, which is about 39.60. Okay, on the PAAS. This list is sorted alphabetically, but I just went ahead and reviewed the gold and silver stocks at the same time. CARA is like the ATVI, I think. Maybe not not ATVI. I mean, I have it. ADVM maybe. Yeah, ADVM. Large gap down, and it started to break out on Friday. The CARA hasn't yet. So this would be an entry over 1276, let's say 1280, stop under 1215, and target about 16 bucks. Actually, target 1 would be around 14, target 2 would be around 16. Okay, on the CARA, it's a little weak. I mean, very, very weak. So it's not my favorite. It's not one of the ones that I picked for my own account to play tomorrow. CDEV, gold stock, I mean, oil stocks have been killing it. Look at RIG. I mean, there's so many of them, right? Look at that. Broke out already on Friday, so it's not on the list because it's already too late. But the CDEV is not too late. It has not broken out yet. Over the base, so this bar's high looks to be the highest, 491. Stop would be under the green bar's low, or which is 437, or 407 would be much more secure, but also a much larger stop, and target about 6 bucks. On the CDEV oil, CNDT is a 1-2-3 pattern. Is a simple 1-2-3 pattern. So over 760 long, stop under 726, and I don't know what the target is. We'd have to look at the weekly. It's 10 bucks. Okay, it's about 10 bucks. Epic or EPC, I like it. It's a 1-2-3. I'm already in it. Just as a disclaimer, I got it on this day. Why did I get it on this day? Because it was reporting earnings. So I bought it at the end of the day that day because I absolutely love that monthly chart. See how it's breaking out? So just as just a full disclosure, I'm already in it, but I still like it higher over this bar's high, which is $44, stop under 42.74 as a long-term trade. Similar to the EPC is the INGR, which I took 2 stops on it. This thing is a little sloppy. I don't know. I played it here one day or something like this, and then I got stopped out, and I played it recently, and I took a stop here. So so I'm down on it, but I like it higher on the monthly chart. Very, very similar to the EPC. The same pattern, basically. Almost the same pattern. So I like the INGR over this bar's high, the highest high, 95 bucks, with a stop under 90.34 as a long-term play. And then it looks like that LTC is not pulling back at all. I'm bidding for 15 coins at 364, but I'm probably not going to get filled. I already have 30 Litecoins, and I have half a coin of Bitcoin, but I'm probably not going to get filled on those 15 that I wanted. All right, so we talked about the EPC, we talked about the INGR. Let's talk about GME. Believe it or not, GME has a weekly buy setup. Beautiful weekly buy setup too. Now, the entry for the GME off the weekly would be over that green bar's high. Stop would be down here, and target, let's say target 1, and then target 2. But that would be a huge, huge stop. So my idea on this would be to play it off of that recent base that we got, and I like it over 167.50, stop under 151.80. Even off that daily time frame, as opposed to the weekly, the stop is still $17 or something like this, huge. But we're not talking about a small target either. We're talking about target 1, almost 300 bucks. Let's say 283, and target 2 could be. I'm not sure it's gonna get there. 350 almost, 348.50. So we'll see. But I like the GME also higher. GSM. I played this a while back. I mean, I think late last year on the breakout. Okay, and it skyrocketed. So it was pretty good, and I still like it higher based on that monthly base breakout. See it on the GSM? So I like it over the base right here, stop under the base. So yeah, just have to check what the price is. Okay, that's 469, the high. So 1 or 2 cents above. Okay, so 471, stop under 405 on the GSM. HL we talked about is the 1-2-3 gold mining stock. IMVT, So IMVT is a weird looking chart. It's been basing for I don't know how long, since March 9th, so exactly 2 months. By the way, happy Mother's Day to all the wonderful mothers out there. Today is Mother's Day. So over the base, stop under the base, but that would be also too big of a stop. So my suggestion would be, or what I'm watching it for, would be over the base, stop just under the most recent base, which is that red bar's low. So it would be under 1550, let's just say. Okay, over 1740 by 1550. I like it, but it's a little bit of a, you know, a weird looking chart. And then the target 1 would be the prior high, which is 1950. Target 2 is that blue line on the weekly chart, which is the 20 period moving average, the 20 MA. We talked about the INGR already. was my nicest trade a few weeks ago because I had 4,000 shares, I believe. So I had big size in it because it was a very tight stop. That's why. And I added to it. And so this worked out beautifully. It got just 8 cents shy of target, which was $41. And so I had to trade it at 40.80, I think, something like this. So because it was just shy 8 cents from the target. And now guess what it has? It has a 1, 2, 3 after an igniting gap, very, very similar to the BCRX igniting gap. Igniting gap and a 1, 2, 3. So long over this bar's high, 41.83, stop under 40.67. Okay, on the ERM. KALV is a weekly buy setup. It's not a very good daily chart, but notice that this is called the range expansion bottoming tail, REBT. REBT. The bigger the bottoming tail, the more bullish it is, the more powerful it is. So I like it over the base, which is 2650, over the bottoming tail bars high on the weekly chart, stop just under 2380, and target could be 35 bucks. I mean, in that area, I'm not exactly sure. Let's say 3340, and maybe target 2 would be 3620. So it's more of a longer term trade also. It's too sloppy on the daily. You really have to look at it on the weekly to see why I like it. The LBTYA is a 1, 2, 3 also. LBTYA. So over this bar's high, long, stop under it, and then after 2 bars up, can manage bar by bar. So keep raising the stop. Like let's say, you know, you get it. Let's just say you got it here. You keep raising the stop, right? If you get 2 bars in a row, 2 green bars, raising the stop, 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 and then out as soon as it breaks the prior bar's low. Does that make sense? So that's the simplest form of management, and I use it quite often on my swing plays. MUX, another gold stock, which I forgot to talk about when I talked about gold stocks. Over the base, stop under, and target right here. I like that big rounding bottom, rounding base that we have on the MUX. Like it a lot. It just needs to clear. You know, with all these plays, not all of them are going to trigger. Like, you know, the MUX would have to take out $1.32. So it has to trade at $1.33 before it actually triggers, before there's an entry. So all these plays need to trigger first before one can play them. Because sometimes, let's just say, the play actually doesn't trigger and then, you know, comes in. That doesn't mean you should lose on it, because in this case, it never triggered. So you have to wait for them to trigger. We talked about the PAAS already, and then last but not least is the TRVG. TRVG daily chart, for those that know that are students of mine might look at this and say, oh, what does he like about it? It doesn't look good. You're right. The daily time frame is my primary time frame for swing trading, but I do use the weekly chart and the monthly as well. So this is a beautiful weekly pullback. So entry over 385, stop under 323, and target the 200 MA. So almost $5. So it looks good as a weekly buy setup. Now on to the bearish list. Here's the bearish ideas. ADPT is breaking down. It's really, really bearish. And here's the daily chart. I like them when I would have liked it more if the 20 MA on the daily was right at price rather than above it like this. But I still like it under the base. So it'd be under the lowest low. I don't know which one. This bar's low. Friday's low, 34.86. Stop over 37.51. Okay? So it's about exactly 85 cents. I like it. Short. FSLY. I had it as an earnings play too. on FSLY. FSLY I was so sure about, I feel bad that I didn't really oversize it. I like to size every play the same regardless of conviction. But this was, I felt so sure about it as an earnings play that I feel like I should have oversized it. It's a 1-2-3 pattern also. Igniting gap, narrow range resting day, under short, stop above it, and then after 2 bars in favor, bar by bar. IPOF is really bearish also. Lower under 9.99. I thought it broke under 10, but apparently not. So under $10, stop over 10.19. Okay, and this one might be at all-time lows. So yeah, let's double check. It is at all-time lows. So there is no target. We don't know where the stock can fall to. There's no support area to the left, so you just have to manage it. The RTP looks also pretty bearish. Let's take a look at it. That's the daily chart, I guess. Under 986, stop would be over the most recent base, which is 1001. It looks like is the highest bar. The highest high in this base is 1001. Under 986 so it's a 15-cent stop. Very, very tight. TRVN is a 123. So under 159 the entry, stop over 166 on the TRVN. And VYNE also was an earnings play for me this day. So shorted it into earnings, gap down nicely, and has a 123. So short under 350, stop over 375. Has a beautiful hourly base, by the way. So I do look at the hourly chart also for entries. So short, stop, and then this has, let's see how much room it has. I mean, this thing is at all-time lows. It is at all-time lows. So it can fall who knows to where. It can just keep going. YSG looks lower. Doesn't have a very tight base. And then the other thing is it's got a flat 20, flattish. And it might have already triggered on Friday, but short just under right here. Okay, stop over the space. YSG looks lower. And last but not least, and full disclosure, this is already an open play for the newsletter. We're in it from 1950, so it's already over $2.50 in the money, and I just like it to zero. Unfortunately, I mean, this stock looks like it's going to zero. This is why I don't suggest people get married to stocks, because they can, unlike the market, the index, it can go to zero. So I mean, this went to $500, $497 a few years ago, maybe more than a few, 6-7 years ago. Okay, 7 years ago was a $500 stock. It's at 17, and I'm thinking it's lower still. Has a 1-2-3. As I said, this is a newsletter play. It's an open play already from 1950, but has an add and reduce, meaning has a new setup under 1680, stop over 1760 as a 1-2-3. All right, everybody. I sure hope you enjoyed today's video. I do these videos once a week. If you'd like to check me out, check out the newsletter, see what kind of trades I call and how I manage them, and just tag along. It costs almost nothing, $49 for the first month. If you have any questions, reach out to customer service, info@t3live.com, info@t3live.com. And if you'd like to day trade with me, there's also a link for that is in the description. With that said, again, hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope it adds value to your trading on a weekly basis, and I want to thank you for sticking around until the end. I am Sami Abusad. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and I shall talk to you next week. Take care, everybody. Ciao.